So when we last left our scene, we had a sphere and it was just hovering over a plane. And we said we wanted to make it move, and there was a way to use the physics engine in Unity to simulate effects like gravity, but that it didn't happen automatically, that there were one or two things we needed to do to get the effects to happen. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is select the sphere, and we can do that down here in the hierarchy view. We can do it in the scene view. Then we're going to come up to the component menu, Physics, Rigid Body. And it gives us another section down here in the inspector for the sphere. It says mass, a few other drag, angular drag, whatnot. A few parameters, they have initial values. Now you notice that one of these parameters here in Rigid Body is a checkbox that says Use Gravity. And that's checked by default, and that's very important. That'll actually get gravity to work. So we'll leave that checked. We'll make note of where things are. And these values will give us a starting point. So let's just click the Run or Play button and see what happens. And boom, the sphere falls and stops. So let's stop this and see what we can do to change up and make things work a little differently. So the one parameter that we're going to change to see what effect it has is the drag parameter. So let's come in here and change it from 0 to 5. That should be enough to notice a difference, and then click Run, and much slower. So drag slows things down, kind of like it was falling through liquid, like underwater, something like that. Okay, let's set drag back to 0. Well, that's a fine effect, making things fall underwater. We might need that sometime. But a lot of things that fall and hit a surface, especially spheres, will bounce. And our sphere right now doesn't bounce. So let's see if we can make that happen. So come up to the Assets menu, Import Package, Physic Materials. And like other packages, everything's checked by default. We want it all checked. Click Import. And if we look under our standard assets, now we see Physic Materials, and we have 5 materials: bouncy ice, metal, rubber, and wood. And if we look in the Sphere Collider, we see a place for materials that says Physic Material. So we're going to take this first one here, bouncy, and drag it in. Now all of these Physic Materials actually have properties and parameters of their own. And to see them, you can click on them in the project menu, and their information will come up in the inspector, or you can just click on it right here in the inspector material. So we're going to left double click on bouncy, and there it is. So bouncy, it's got friction and bounciness and a few other things. We can experiment with those later. But for now, let's just see what effect this has. So we'll click play. And there we go. And we've got a bounce. And another bounce. And another bounce. And if you look at it, the bounces are staying about the same height. In fact, it's actually bouncing ever so slightly higher. Well, let's see if we can do something about that. So what we're going to do is go back to the rigid body parameters, to our old friend drag, and change it back not to 5 but to 1. And let's see what we get. And boom, and up, there we go, much lower bounce. Pretty low bounce actually. Don't know what material that might simulate. Probably not rubber, but anyway, you get the idea. You can set these values at something that gives you some some reasonable bounciness. There's actually 4 other Physic Materials you can experiment with and see what they do, and that's great. So we'll just save our scene, and we're done.